Christianity was never the white man's religion.
All right, come on.
Okay.
Christianity was never the white man's religion. Christianity was simply one of the white man's weapons. One of the tools used to abuse me and you, those of us who are of a darker hue. Now, no doubt it's sick. There is something sinister about using a minister to administer spiritual poison. Employing, then deploying a deacon to deconstruct the truth of us, sending a speaker to place sin into a syringe and inject us with the thought that our skin was the sin itself. See, that narrative was simply a weapon. The faith be the grip of the handle. And the lashes on our backs came from the pages they removed. See, they knew that it was more dangerous for you to know that you were made in the image of God than it was for you to know what worldly possessions your ancestors came from. Because what do worldly possessions matter when you are now a worldly possession? There was a message they intended to deliver. One that discouraged the possibility of the gospel ever getting out. You see, the gospel advocates for freedom. The gospel rises against unjust rulers. The gospel would be their downfall. And so they bleached the pages, snatched hundreds of scriptures, used their thumbs as whiteout to blot out the truth, because they knew that all versions of the Bible say in John 8:32 that the truth would set all free. And so they made their own version. They called it parts of the Holy Bible selected for the use of the Negro slave in the British West India Islands, and they definitely took that verse out. And with that verse went some of the truth. With that verse went some of the validity and credibility of Christianity. And I say some because, well, the best lies got some truth in it, right? It's best to keep the white lies hidden inside. Best to keep the white lies hidden in between the lines. It's best to keep the black ink calligraphy under candlelight away from the sunlight. Yeah, it's best to keep the dark folk in the dark. Don't matter if it's evidently the blind leading the blind. But see, ascribing the scriptures to white writers simply absolves the North African writers of their royalties. It strips missionaries of their life's work, like Philip, who converted the Ethiopian eunuch on his way to Gaza, like the early church fathers, like Tertullian, Athanasius, and Origen, whose origins were in Africa. I mean, the Bible literally says that out of Egypt, God called his son. Now, I don't know if any of you all seen a map before, but I'm pretty sure that Egypt is literally in Africa. It's crazy. It's crazy how 400 years of slavery can unwrap the arms of Christ that have been comforting believers of all people groups like Armenians, Slavic, Ethiopians, Assyrians, and more since the 400s. I'm talking 5th century, baby. 12 centuries before the Europeans who were introduced to the faith by people of the global majority misused and abused the idea of the faith by stealing and enslaving a group of people that didn't look like them all over some sugar because ain't power sweet. Don't it feel good to be in control? Don't indoctrinating deep brown faces that have been disciples since before the dark ages just give your white self a shot of dopamine? And don't a 12-step program need to be taken 2 or 3 or 4 times? Baby, it's time to wake up from the cold sweat and the shakes. It's time to wake up and face the truth. The white man did not create God. The white man did not come up with Christ. He simply painted his face a different shade and forced us to stare until the image stained our brains. We must realize that failing to convict the white man for weaponizing our faith only gives him the assurance that his plan did and will continue to work. It is literally lighting a cigarette and blaming the cigarette for burning. It is habitually littering and blaming the world for being a trash can. It is pulling a pin out of a grenade, tossing it into a melanated community, and then blaming it for its explosion as if your actions were not also necessary for its damage. We must understand that crediting the white man for the spread and the discovery of Christianity is loading a gun with bullets, and that gun is only pointed at you. And what war do you know of where opposing sides supply each other artillery? If you pick up the whole armor of God,
Come on.
and you pick up that weapon that is sharper than any two-edged sword, you will see that God has always wanted his people free from bondage.
Yes.
Spiritual and physical. So how can the white man own Christianity when the purpose of the faith is is freedom from slavery. Poem.